Hi everybody. We are going to start our lesson. Today's topic is top research results. Let's begin. So, what we have today in content? Today we have introduction, list of 10 inventions that changed our life, and personal view as a conclusion. So, let's start. The introduction. Humans are ingenious species, from the moment someone bashed a rock on the ground to make the first sharp-edged tool, to the development of Mars, rovers, and the internet, several key advancements stand as particularly revolutionary. Development of humanity has never stopped, even for a second. It's like an unstoppable mechanism which keeps on working, moving, progressing constantly and always. Lots of scientists have invented so many new items, devices for social and career issues of human being that today people needn't spend much time or force to get most of them available. So what they are? Let's start. On the 10th stage is a wheel. So as you can see, a wheel, this is a picture of an ancient wheel. So who invented the wheel? Where, in which aims these wheels are used before? So the wheel is an invention so ancient that we have no way of knowing who first developed it. So it's not clear who invented wheels. So the oldest wheel and axle mechanism we found was near Ljubljana, Slovenia, and dates to roughly 3100 BC. The wheel made the transportation of goods much faster and more efficient, especially when fixed to horse-drawn chariots and carts. Wheel can be used for a lot of things other than sticking them on a cart to carry grain. Tough tens of thousands of other inventions required to carry grain. Inventions require wheel to function, from water wheels that power mills to gear and cogs that allowed even ancient cultures to create complex machines. So cranks and pulleys need wheels also to work. And a huge amount of modern technology still depends on the wheel, like electric motors and combustion engines, jet engines, power plants, and countless others, so many others. Here on the picture you can see the development stage of the wheels, from ancient and to the modern latest one. So on the next stage we have printing press. So a printing press is a device for evenly printing ink onto a print medium substrate such as a paper or a cloth. So the printing press worked not with only a paper. Just before inventing a paper, people used some type of materials like silk in order to print some messages, books. And after inventing the invention of the paper, they started to print books on the paper. The world's first movable type printing technology was invented in China, and it is also developed in China by the Han Chinese printer Bisheng between the years 1041 and 1048. The printing press allowed enormous quantities of information to be recorded and spread throughout the world. Books had previously been items only the extremely rich people could afford it, because the production was so long of one book, and so it took too many time to be copied out from the real book to copy out another one. So this kind of books, and also the material, the paper, the coverage of the books cost very expensive. So only the extremely rich people can afford them. But mass production after the invention of printing press brought the price down tremendously. The printing press is probably responsible for many other inventions than the fusion of knowledge it created gave billions of humans the education they needed to create their own inventions in the centuries since. So on the next stage, on the eighth stage, the invention is a telephone. So we have talked on the previous lessons who invented the telephone. So who was the first inventor, patented in 1876 to the telephone by Alexander Graham Bell and further developed by many other scientists. The telephone was the first device in history that enabled people to talk directly with each other across large distances. So telephones rapidly became indispensable to businesses, government, and households, and are today some of the most widely used small appliances. The race to create truly portable telephone devices began after World War II, with the developments taking place in many countries, which resulted in invention on the first handheld mobile cell phone by Motorola in 1973. The invention of telephone brought about dynamic change in the process of communication, not only the communication I mean. So today most of you are using your telephones, your mobile cell phones, in order to study online. So this is also an example how inseparable part take telephones, our mobile cells in our daily life. So I guess that most of you check for 10 times before going out. Where is your telephones, or you have your mobile phones on your pockets, on your bags, yeah? So let's go on. Stage 7, steam engine. So what is steam engine? Since the early 8th century, steam power has applied to a variety of practical uses. At first it was applied to reciprocating pumps, only just pumps working with the usage of steam engines, but further from 70s, 80s, rotative engines began to appear in the at the turn of the 19th century, steam-powered transports on both sea and land began to make its appearance, becoming even more dominant as the century progressed. This gave birth to a modern stage of manufacturing, to the economy, to the industry also. The first commercially successful engine in which it could generate power and transmit it to a machine, and was invented by Thomas Newcomen in around 1712. Steam engines can be said to have been the moving force behind the Industrial Revolution. So it had the ability to transport things much faster and in bulk. So in the pictures you can see only the trains, but also the ships, the boats at that time, and also the cars used firstly the steam engines. So and the next stage is automobile. So automobile, if the steam engines mobilizes industries, the automobile mobilized people. The first working steam-powered vehicle was designed and most likely built by Ferdinand Verbiest in China around 1672. Yeah, you hear that. Most of these inventions that we have counted are invented in China. It was 65 cm long scale model toy. As you see, the automobile was invented as a toy in China for the Chinese emperor that was unable to carry a driver or a passenger. While ideas for personal vehicles and had been around for years, Carl Benz, after 200 years introduced modern automobile, which was later developed by other industrialists. The automobile's effect on commerce, society, culture is hard to overestimate. Most of us can jump in our car and go whenever and want wherever we want. Or cities are largely designed and built around automobile access with paved roads and parking, lots of taking up huge amounts of space and a big chunk of a government's budgets. The auto industry has fueled enormous economic growth worldwide, but it's also generated a lot of pollution. So, most of the research results, the inventions, has two sides, positive and negative. So when an inventor, the researcher, is going to think over of inventing or having a result or making a research on having new useful ideas, things, items, they think about making people's life easier, but they never think that they both this their research or their invention can have um, bad sides or cons. So in the next stage, in the starting of our term, we talked about light bulbs. Who invented the light bulb? When all you have is natural light, productivity is limited to daylight hours. Light bulb changed the world by allowing us to be active at night. So, according to historians, 2,000 people were instrumental in inventing incandescent lamps throughout the 18th double O's. Thomas Edison is credited as a primary inventor because he created a completely functional lighting system. So this invention also had a rather unexpected consequences of changing people's sleep patterns. Instead of going to bed at nightfall, having nothing else to do, people became more active and would do other activities in the light of the bulb. All thanks to Thomas Edison, but if the resource is misused, we will have to use the gas lamp again. So carry the electricity in your light bulbs. Yeah. So the next and the most favorable for you invention is a computer. So the first computer devices were conceived of in the 19th century and only emerged in their modern form in the 1930s. Charles Babbage, an English mechanical engineer, originated the concept of programmable computer, considered the father of the computer. Computers have changed the way a business functions in a large way. Almost everything that happens in an organization, right from the inception to its closure, it recorded, worked upon, evaluated, and rectified with the help of computers. Computers have pushed us to see different worlds and experience cultures. Also, the growth is a virtual one. It's after effects are very much real. This powerful medium is the great mode of mass communication, allowing people a platform to voice their opinions and stir discussions that have brought about a change in the world. So here you can see two types of computers. Firstly, the first generation of computers and the modern view of the computers. Okay, on the next stage, on the third stage is airplane. Yes. So the first powered aircraft, as we are all taught in the middle school, was a brain child of the Wright brothers in 1903. It is hard to imagine what life would be like without the airplane. Not only did it form as a catalyst for science to advance in the aerospace field, but the airplane also made the world a bit smaller. It is amazing to see how just one invention changed the world in such a major way. Thanks in part to the airplane, it's possible for someone in America to order something made in India and receive it within 24 hours. Airplanes have reduced the distance between cities. Europe and India used to be days away. Now it's possible to travel to Paris for the weekend. It's also proved to be great help to military force. So, you see, in each research, in each invention, we can find the positive sides much more than the negative sides. So the airplane is the most valuable invention in our life. It can work for both for society, for humans, for citizens, for people, also for healthcare system, also for trade system, for economy, and also for military system, for defense. So on the second stage, the next invention is a paper. So paper was invented by the Chinese in 2nd century BC. Before then, people communicated through pictures and symbols etched on stones, bones, cave walls, or clay tablets. Many of us take it for granted that paper allows us not only to enjoy our lives but also to go about our daily routines with a greater efficiency. From the thinnest tissue to the most absorbent deeper to the toughest corrugated box. Most of us begin our mornings by enjoying the comforts of products, from facial tissue and paper towels to the morning newspaper, to the curtains, to the curtain that holds your orange juice, and the paperboard packaging that holds your breakfast cereal. Recycling is easy to do and it's good for business and the environment. So next time you read the newspaper, open your mail, clean out your files, you empty a box. Don't put the paper and paperboard packaging in the trash. Complete the circle and recycle it. So the paper is the only recyclable material that we can use in our daily life. So plastic bottles, plastic packets are not so recyclable in environment. But thinking that it's recyclable, we cannot use the papers limitedly. So also papers are made some of trees. So more forests, more trees are cut down worldwide in order to make for you papers. So don't waste it. Write down, use it till the end, your papers, your notebooks. Then if you don't need them, just brush it. Sort out and brush it or put it on recycling. So let's recap. So what we have from 10th to stage until then. On the 10th stage, we talked about wheels. On the 9th stage, we talked about printing press. On the 8th, we talked about telephone. On the 7th stage, we talked about steam engine. And on the 6th stage, we talked about automobile. On the 5th, we talked about light bulb. On the 1st, we talked about computer. On the 3rd, about airplane. And on the 2nd, we talked about the paper. So this is the time of the first stage. Then there's gonna be an internet that is making our life much more easier to give you opportunity or chance to get educated, even if you're at home. So this is the internet. The internet, a network of computers covering the entire planet, allows people to access almost any information located anywhere in the world at any time. So its effects on business, communication, economy, entertainment, also education, medicine, and mass media. In the 1960s, a team of computer scientists working for the U.S. Defense Department's ARPA built it. So, at first, the internet was built only for military defense system of the USA. The internet is such a powerful invention that we have probably only begun to see the effects it will have on the world. So, it was invented on the 19th, 60th century, but the effects, the results, the positive sides and the negative sides are causing the world today. The ability to diffuse and recombine information with such efficiency. At the same time, some fear that our ability to communicate, work, play, and do business with the internet breaks down our ties to local communities and causes us to become socially isolated. So, when someone works through the internet, he needs a space, own space, he needs an internet, he needs some type of device, and he needs a peace. So he becomes socially isolated in order to work. For example, me, as an example, now I'm isolated in a living room, not to disturb me. I told my family not to disturb me, my son not to disturb me, because I'm working in the internet. So it made me also to become socially isolated for a little bit time. And during this quarantine time, I while I have been working from home via online through the usage of internet, I spend half of the day, if I have to check up my students' marks, to look through whether who is online, who is working, who is studying, to note them on my e-journal. So I should need a space. I should be socially isolated. I should concentrate only on work, on my work. So the internet makes people to be addicted to isolation. Like any invention, the good or ill it accomplishes will come from how we choose to use it. So the starting of the term, the starting of the online courses, I spent from 2 to 8 hours on computer on the internet, but when I run it, everything was okay. Just today I spent from 2 to 3 4 hours for doing my work on the internet to teach you to check up your marks. So my personal view, I just wrote down my thoughts, but I think that top research results at the same time bring us some new technologies. It can help to grow some interests, demands, values, business, industries, and societies, but at the same time, it has bad sides. But if a human, if a people who are using this type of technologies, items, inventions are smart enough, they only get only the good, positive, useful sides of these items, of these innovations, of this research. So stay safe, stay home, and keep studying online. Goodbye.